Greetings, friends and followers. This is Nurses Talking. I am Dale Barzy. As always, if you like what you see and hear, give us a like, subscribe. So today, my guest is Ms. Katharyn Havey, a registered nurse turned transformative spiritual coach. She always felt the draw to heal and serve others, and now fulfills that calling through her coaching profession by guiding her clients to evolve into the highest version of themselves. Katharyn is the creator of the online course, Creating Peace, which is a 4-month self-study course to transformation by healing anxiety, stress, and overwhelm. Katharyn lives in LA and loves being in nature, playing in the ocean, and cuddling her 2 kitties. So welcome, Katharyn.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to spend some time with us today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So, you are a nurse. What drew you to nursing?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said in my bio, I always wanted to help people. I always loved science and I always loved helping people. I always have, I have a lot of nurses in my family. My mom was a nurse. Have several cousins who are nurses, so it was a familiar profession. And I actually found not that long ago one of my old journals. I've kept a journal my whole life. I have like a stack of journals, yeah. And I found an old journal entry from when I was like 10, and it said, "I know what I want to do with my life. I want to be a nurse."
That's awesome.
I know. I didn't even remember that I had wanted to be a nurse all the way back then, but yeah, I guess I did. So it was just always something that I always knew I wanted to heal, I wanted to help, I wanted to serve.
Mm-hmm. That really is fantastic. And so you became a nurse. What areas did you work in?
So initially I went into step down, which is also known as intermediate care or transitional care.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked in St. Louis on a 3-to-1 patient ratio floor, and it was primary care.
Okay.
And it was also in the city of St. Louis. So it was, you got a real mixed bag on, what kind of patients you're dealing with. Also, I was a travel nurse for a couple years and went to around the Midwest. And that's actually how I came out here to LA, was on a travel contract.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you left it and went into meditation. What was that transition?
Actually,
Uh-huh.
So I actually got fired from the hospital that I was working at here. Which was a huge blessing in disguise. And I was actually laughing while I was on the phone with my recruiter at some point, which I'll tell you about.
Yeah, okay.
But the reason it was such a blessing was because, so I had developed awful anxiety working at the bedside, working in the hospital, but I never would have left bedside because I had so much pride about being like a real nurse.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And being like, yeah, I'm a real nurse. Like I'm even a travel nurse. So, travel has its own like
hierarchy.
Yeah. That are even harder than what, like that's what the ego loves. The ego loves like this, like either I'm better than or I'm less than other people. So it was just this standpoint I had that I was like, yeah, I'm a nurse, even though it's like killing me physically and mentally and like emotionally and all of these things. I'm a nurse. I'm a real nurse. So I got fired from this hospital here, which was the craziest thing because I had never experienced a hospital that didn't want to sign me on full time. Every hospital I had ever worked at loved me and wanted me to like be a charge nurse or be the diabetes educator. Like I got so many offers from other hospitals to stay there. So, but this hospital and I did not vibe well. There was something it was not the right fit. And they actually canceled my contract within only like 4 weeks. of being there, which was, for anyone who doesn't know how long a travel contract is, it's only 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty uncommon to get canceled unless it's like a budget issue. So I get this call at like 11 p.m. from my recruiter, and for some reason, randomly this night, I hadn't taken my sleep medicine. I used to have to take Ambien and Xanax to go to sleep because my anxiety was so bad. Which, you know, if you have to take drugs to go to sleep to do the job that it's probably not the right job for you. So, but that's whatever. That's a whole other story. So my recruiter calls me. I'm like, who is calling me at 11 p.m. from like Kansas, like the other side of the country? So I answered it for some reason. Just all of this was very unusual. And it was my recruiter telling me that they canceled my contract, AKA I got fired.
Yeah.
And I immediately felt like just a wave of heat roll over me. Like I was embarrassed, I was ashamed, I was defensive. I was like, what do you mean they fired me? Well, that's not how it happened. Well, this is how it happened. And just, I'm like asking questions. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what am I gonna do? My rent is very expensive in LA. Like I just got here. How am I supposed to just move across the country to be here for this contract? So my initial reaction, it was very, I felt like the rug had been ripped out from underneath me. But then as she's reading the email and reading some of the things that they're listing as like reasons they're letting me go, I just started laughing. Like, I was just like, this is divine intervention.
Okay.
There's no other explanation for this. And I was like, this is one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. I'm just going to go with it. Obviously, something is unfolding before me that is important. And I got off the phone, still smiling and giggling. And I run into my roommate's room, who I barely even knew. I'd only known her for a few months. I woke her up. I got on her bed. I said, Lauren, I just got fired.
Well, why are you laughing?
Wait, she's like, I'm so confused at the energy that you're bringing to me. But really, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. After that, I didn't go back to the hospital ever. I started on a 2-year journey of self-healing and healed my anxiety, healed my GI issues, my depression. I found a career that I love and that where I'm actually healing people, where I'm actually helping people. And I'm happier than I have ever been. And if I hadn't gotten fired, who knows how long it would have taken me to get to this place. Life really needed to be like, all right, like, you're not taking the hint, like, get her out. So also that is what so the course I made, Creating Peace, that I just finally finished. This is everything that I learned in those 2, give or take, years of healing myself, because I'm single, I don't have kids. I was able to devote my life essentially to my healing, and I was so interested in it. I was like, it was also fascinating to me. I was just consuming book after book after book and podcast and just like everything that I could find. And then of course going through my own divine curriculum as well, just in the interactions and the experiences that I'm having every day and working through all of this. And I figured it out. I feel like I figured it out. I feel like I have this golden elixir, this like I got the juice. I got it. And now I have to give it to people that don't have the same time and resources that I did. Because people can't devote that much time to their healing. Like people have real busy lives. Yeah. And so I put everything into this course, and I am just so proud of it. And so I feel so guided to where I am right now.
Okay. So now that you're talking about the course, and what you just said brought like 2 or 3 questions to mind. But firstly, before I forget, since we're talking about your course, how do people find it?
Yeah, so you can find it at my website, which is currently under construction, but hopefully by the time someone is watching this, it will not be under construction. You can find it on my website, Katharyn Suzanne, and my name is spelled a little funny, Katharyn, in Suzanne, SUZANNE.com. You can also email me at everything is Katharyn Suzanne. So if whatever you want to email me, it's KatharynSuzanne@gmail.com. You want to find me on Instagram, it's Katharyn_Suzanne. Pretty easy.
Okay, so to go back to what you were saying, you know, it took you getting fired, but do you think that somewhere along the way, did it ever occur to you before that, you know, momentous event, that maybe I should get out, maybe this isn't right, all this anxiety, maybe? Yes.
You see? Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, because that's how it works. That's how intuition works. You know, exactly. It's like, it's something that you're constantly putting down. You're like, no, it's not right. No. Yeah. And you're constantly defending why the thing that you're currently doing is the thing that you should be doing. Yeah. I mean, this goes for anything, right? Like I've had the same voice when I've been in relationships. And when I've known that this person wasn't the right person for me, wasn't the right relationship for me, it's like still, but you have to go through this period of denial until finally life is like, wake up. It's like gonna force whatever needs to come through, whatever needs to birth from this situation. Life is gonna give it to you, whether or not you're necessarily ready for it or not. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. And I say that it happens with your body, it happens with your mind. You know, it whispers to you and then it starts talking louder and louder and louder. Eventually it shouts. Yeah, eventually it shouts. Eventually it screams.
So your anxiety, though, manifested itself in institutional setting, in a bedside, you know, as a nurse. And so I want to ask a question that I have a little bit of a feeling about. Do you think that these institutions, given the fact that, you know, what is required of us is so much, do you think that institutions do enough towards staff health?
No, I don't. And I would love to, at some point in the future, work with on that kind of administration level, to work with, like, do you even know what your staff is actually going through? And if you do, why isn't that the top priority? Because nurses do everything in the hospital. Without nurses, the hospital will crumble.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist without the nurses. And unfortunately, like, there's just not enough resources, but I don't think there's a lot of awareness either of just like, or if there is, they don't know, and I say they, like the administration or like the system or whatever, doesn't know how to bring that awareness and like what to do about it, because it's not having pizza delivered during
exactly.
It's not that. It's not giving us a 25-cent per hour raise. Like, this is way deeper than that. We have to, I mean, I think it goes even back into like nursing school. Like, this needs to be in the nursing schools, how to deal with stress, how to be with yourself throughout these, and how to know, like, if a position just isn't right for you. And stop glorifying bedside nursing as the only way to heal.
Yeah. And that is one of the goals of this whole business of speaking to nurses, because I really want to speak to nurses all across in all kinds of different areas, because I want us to know that just because you're a nurse doesn't mean you fit into the bedside box or the institution box.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, what is a nurse actually? A nurse is a healer.
Exactly.
A nurse is a healer, and healers take many forms, and they have taken many forms throughout our history as a species. And the role of a nurse is so beautiful in a way to care for someone, but it's not the only way to heal.
It's not. And but to come back to not providing staff help, also we ourselves don't feel comfortable or don't feel we have a right to ask for time to heal, or to ask for time, just to be. So,
you mean to heal ourselves?
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, if a nurse called up and said, you know what, I'm just calling for a mental day, can you imagine how that would be frowned upon?
Oh my God, that would be like, she's what?
Exactly.
Like she's sad, so she can't come in today. Okay, well, I'm gonna need her to get her butt in.
Yeah.
And now she's late, and other people have to pick up her slack, and that would not be okay.
Yeah. And so, and so schedules and stuff like that don't provide for that kind of thing. Don't, embrace that kind of eventuality. And so, I don't know how we're gonna fix it. But
I think a huge thing is the topic of is the main topic of conversation, right? It's staffing, it's patient ratios, because there's not a shortage of nurses. There's a shortage of hospitals who are willing to supply nurses with the environment and the tools and resources that they need to thrive.
Yeah. That's very well said. That's very well said, because that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, and as a travel nurse, I experienced a lot of different hospitals, and it's different. It is different from hospital to hospital to hospital, the way they treat nurses. Some are better. Actually, the hospital that I started at was in St. Louis. It was at St. Mary's, and ironically, even though that is where all of my anxiety and everything developed, and it was a really, really stressful floor to be on, the community of my unit and the togetherness and the teamwork was so good that it almost made up for, in a way, not having, like we said, the best staffing ratios or whatever, because we were just regarded well, and we treated everyone else really well too. But at some hospitals, nurses are not respected for some reason. It doesn't make any sense to me. Nurses are not well respected. And then again, to some hospitals, they have really great staffing ratios, but there's no teamwork. There's no oneness. There's not that like family feeling on the unit. So I mean, it's so different based on where you are to say that this is the solution for all hospitals. This one thing. It's really it's a whole myriad of what creates a great experience as a nurse or as a healing provider.
I know. I see that. So you went on and you created creating space, peace. I'm sorry, you're creating peace.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going?
Ooh, where do I see this going? I see this. I mean, I'm really proud of it. I think it's great. I think it's comprehensive. I think it is a whole spiritual transformation, which really, as a side effect, you also heal anxiety and high stress and overwhelm. But it's I'm gonna go off on a tangent. So I'm gonna answer your question. I see this going. I was like, ooh, I feel a tangent coming on.
Go for it.
I see this going big. I see this being a multi-million-dollar course.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So right now I am kind of in like the beta testing, kind of still making adjustments to it. I'm taking some people through it one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I'm also starting to offer it as a self-study without my support. And it's a very exciting time.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I love it. Typically, one of the things I want to know from nurses is what kind of vision do you have for nurses? Where would you like to see nurses in 10, as you said, in some hospitals, for example, in some institutions, even some cities, nurse is not even highly regarded. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see 10, 15, 20 years from now?
Kind of just across the board?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I would love to see not just safe staffing ratios, but comfortable staffing ratios. Mm-hmm. I would like to see nurses being taught in nursing school, like all of the things that we discussed, and having this just like this wellness kind of self-care balance be something that's taught in nursing school and held throughout the healthcare experience. And like we said, also about stop glorifying bedside nursing as the only way to be a real nurse, because it starts in nursing school that it's glorified.
Yeah.
And in really also changing the culture of how our nurses like judging each other, and how are we working together? Is there teamwork? Is there morale? Are we like supporting each other, being there for one another? Because it not only, it starts at an individual level and an administration level. It has to be both.
Yeah. I agree. So you touched on something that is very important. I think it's very important. It's very important to me. And I never talk to nurses without asking them about this. Self-care. What do you do for self-care?
I do a lot for self-care. Self-care to me is just balance. That is a way of being balanced. Self-care is not necessarily pleasure, right? I think there is a confusion about like, oh, I'm like taking a bath and whatever, like drinking wine and that's self-care, which like it can be. That is an aspect of self-care, like treating yourself like that. But self-care is also making sure you wake up early enough to do your morning routine. So I teach something that's called a magic morning in my course. And it's like, how are you setting yourself up for the day? How are you grounding yourself in love and peace before you start your day? Like self-care a lot of the time is not super fun when you're doing it. It's the discipline, it's the exercise, the spiritual exercise, and the mental exercise, and the physical exercise. It's eating well. It's saying no when you want to say no, and saying yes when you want to say yes. And it looks different every day for every person, but ultimately it's following that lightness and like coming back to center and being like, okay, what do I need right now? And sometimes the answer is I need, or I want to work on my like on my course, or I want to do work, I want to be coaching. Like that is what feels really good
to me. Going to yes.
Yeah, but sometimes it's nothing. It's sitting and being and doing absolutely nothing. That is the best thing that I could possibly be doing for myself at that moment.
Right now. Absolutely. And that's so very well put. recognizing that self-care is always just doing what you need to do for you at the time that you need to, because otherwise you cannot create, you cannot help, you cannot do anything actually.
Right.
Not really well, not without taking away from yourself. The example that I always think of is being pregnant. And when you're pregnant, and this baby grabs all the calcium, whatever, from your teeth and your bones and whatever, if you're not doing your prenatals and whatever,
yeah.
And so for me, that's always the example in my head. But
yeah, I think that's a good example. You have to constantly be replenishing.
Yeah.
In different areas. It's like not just one area, not just the bubble bath area or like the splurging area. It's the whole
bit.
The whole thing.
It's the whole bit. Yeah. So if someone wanted to be a nurse, you come from a family of nurses.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, I typically want to know what advice people would give, but what advice was given to you when you wanted to be a nurse?
I don't remember any advice given to me. I know that everyone supported me because I was very clear. And I think really that was the advice that I always got, was like, if this feels true for you, then this is what you should be doing. And I would give that advice to anyone. That it's that voice in the back of your head, right? If you can't get that voice to shut up, that is like, no, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. No, or like, yes, this is right. This is right. And it doesn't matter if it's necessarily logical or necessarily makes sense, but it's an inner knowing.
It's a knowing.
That like, this is, I don't know why, but I know what. And I don't know how, but I know what.
Exactly. Those are the things that draw you to it. And kind of without that, I don't know if you're going to be successful at it, or anything else for that matter.
Yeah, or anything. Well, I firmly believe that what our light is, what feels light and expansive and exciting for us, is our purpose. That is why we're here. Yeah. That is our mission on earth to do. If it brings you joy, pay attention.
Indeed. Katharyn, I don't know how to thank you for talking to me today.
Yes,
it's been a pleasure. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so very, very much.
Yes, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay.